for you.
Now it's good. Okay.
Oh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake, and I wasn't talking about the camera.
And
gave him an internet HJ.
And this is, I guess, Who Cares, where we generally discuss and debate the Doctor on his adventures through space and time.
Yes, it is. And then normally I would have a "so get ready for blankety blank" reference to the episode, and then the thing will play. Boop. But we decided to not do the thing we were going to do, which was we were going to review episode 1 right before episode 2 came out and so on. But instead of that, I think what we're going to do, and what we're going to try to do is we're pushing this till today. Later today, we're going to have episode 2 review, but it's going to be pre-recorded, not live. And it'll come out before the US release. And then we're going to do that for all the episodes. So yeah,
I don't know if you should promise that today with the time scale we're looking at right now. I'm trying to think. It's 6.
Well,
it's 5 right now.
Usually, it'll be either before the U.S. release, during, or right after.
Worst case,
it'll always be really close.
Sure, but yeah, we're gonna try and do it slightly before the U.S. release, which is at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Correct.
So, but I forgot. We have 2 episodes to talk about today, because we never did a live show on the Christmas special. I don't think.
We could talk about those
briefly
all together. I suppose that's fine. So was the Christmas special, because that was super long ago.
It was like almost 5 months ago now. That was the one with the superhero.
It was Christmas special, and then another Christmas special, right? Because we definitely did the River Song one.
We did the Husband's a River Song. God, it's been so long since we've got a season of Doctor Who. By the way, this is the first actual season opener of Doctor Who in like 2 years, because we finished up that last Clara season, and then we got a Christmas special like a month later, and then we went a whole year. Yeah. We went a whole year with nothing, and then another Christmas special, and just now we're getting new episodes. It's crazy. I hate the schedule. That's one thing. There are multiple reasons I'm pretty happy Moffat's leaving. Not to say he's just been... I think he was good for the show. The show gained most of its audience in the U.S. during the Matt Smith years. That's just a fact. You can't fault him for that. But his scheduling stuff makes it hard to get this show made. Between that and Sherlock, which I'm pretty sure Sherlock's done now, too. They never officially said, but I don't think they have any immediate plans for a 4th season of Sherlock or whatever season they're on. But I'm glad he's leaving, and the new guy can hopefully write more often. But anyway, Christmas special.
Hopefully Gaddis is gone. But
he'll show up for 1 episode a season, I'm sure, still. But I don't. What's the last good episode Gaddis wrote? I kind of liked the one where they were on the submarine. Was that him?
The first episode of Sherlock. That's it. I don't think Mark Gatiss is actually very good at writing. I don't know, like, of the sample size, like, most of it's just shit.
I don't think he's a very good writer for Doctor Who TV, but I don't think he's definitely not a bad writer. He did an adventure in space and time. I think he wrote and directed that. So which is funny, because that's about Doctor Who. I just don't think he's very good at.
Yeah.
But we're totally off. What was it called? The Return of Dr. Mysterio?
Something
again, 4
like
months
that.
ago.
So we can talk about that real quick, because I don't think it needs a full review.
Sorry. I know.
We're all over the place. What's going on? Also, you're a little robotic at times, but that's cool. It's probably my end. So I actually, as far as just overall impressions of the Christmas special, because it's old and more people care about the pilot than they do about this, briefly, it was a neat episode. I didn't really think it fit with a Christmas episode at all, but it was... I liked the end. I kind of liked the end about how the Doctor is in the lie. That little bit they did at the end, that informed you of the Doctor, or about the Doctor. But other than that, it was just kind of like a normal episode, but it had, I don't know, some interesting stuff that they haven't done before. But it was largely blah for me.
What I liked a couple things in it, but it wasn't like great. But here's what I would say. The things that worked. Nerdle, who came back, I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, Matt Lucas, comedian from the UK, now
permanent... Nardole,
whatever.
Nardole. So I don't know.
I get it if you don't like that sense, what he's doing with this whole companion thing. You saw more of it in the first episode of this season, but I happen to like it. I like Matt Lucas. I think it's funny. I think it's a fun balance between him and the Doctor, and the relationship is different than him and most other companions. So I think that's interesting. But what the other thing I liked about the Christmas special was it's probably the only time we're ever going to get the Doctor meets a comic booky Superman type thing. You know, that's the thing that's never going to happen again, which is fine. But it was kind of an interesting interaction to see him interacting with a stereotypical superhero, since he is kind of a superhero, but not in that way, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I heard a lot of people complain at the time how stupid and cheesy it was, and how he's a nanny, and he's the woman whose baby he's watching doesn't realize he's the superhero and the nanny. And people complained about that, saying it's stupid. Like, yeah, but it's Doctor Who. And also I interpreted that as, if you remember how it starts, he swallows like a thing that grants wishes, and his wish as a child is to be a superhero, so it makes him a superhero. In my head canon is that in his head, because of his wish and he's a kid, it sort of transformed reality around him to be more comic booky. So under normal circumstances, she would recognize him. Obviously, it's kind of a stupid costume, but you get it.
I see. So I wonder if that actually is the case but they didn't exposit on it, because that would make sense Doctor Who wise. Like, that's a very Doctor Who concept.
The one thing I really didn't like in the episode, and I thought was so strange from concept to how they shot it, like the entire thing was weird. There's one point where the journalist lady is interviewing the Doctor, or sort of interrogating him. I don't know if you remember this, but she has this like squeeze doll thing, you know, those stress dolls that like she had. It's like that, but it's like an off-brand. It's not even the stereotypical one you think of. With the clown she'd squeeze it, and it makes noise, and this was supposed to like intimidate the Doctor. It was very strange. I didn't like that at all, but I don't know. It was a Christmas special. Husband's River Song was better. A Christmas Carol was better. The David Tennant specials were better. It wasn't one of the best Christmas specials, but it was serviceable. We went like a year before that without Doctor Who, so I was happy to get what we had. But do you have anything else to say about that? Because it really, not a lot happened. It was
not at all. I'm ready to jump into the pilot, which is a tongue-in-cheek title, because this is sort of, they're trying to Matt Smith it, and I will say they got the concept of what the Doctor is nailed down, and they introduced him well without alienating and boring old fans. That makes sense. Like, I think they accomplished that goal.
I still think the Matt Smith episode, the opener, is like, that's probably, this is going to sound bad and people are going to disagree. I almost think the Matt Smith opener, I forget what it's called, is better introduction to Doctor Who. The 11th Hour, that's what it is. I think that's a better introduction to Doctor Who than the first episode Rose was of the revival series.
Absolutely. Because you get the concept. Because I think what they did, they redid Doctor Who, and then like it was a big deal that Doctor Who was coming back, so they kind of they assumed the audience knew what Doctor Who was, and that's why Tennant posthumously as far as the series, because he's not dead, got popular because Smith was so good. People went back and watched it, which is exactly how I watched it. I watched Smith first, went back, found out that I really loved Tennant. Eccleston does. I think the last 5 episodes of Eccleston are really good. The first are not good.
That's any new show, and even though it's been on, the show had to find its legs and what the tone was going to be, because it is so radically different than classic Doctor Who. But yeah, Eccleston near the end there, he nailed it. I like some of the best episodes of Doctor Who are from that first season. The Doctor dances were at the end. It has the everybody lives, you know.
Right. I also like the conversation he has with the fart monster, but when it wasn't in that. You know what I'm saying?
Boomtown. Episode Boomtown, the second episode that the
that's a good one. They have a really good like, well, are you going to kill me sort of thing, and he basically walks around with a death row inmate for like 40 minutes, and it's just really, really good. And Jack's there, so that's really fun too. But anyways, the pilot, we introduced a new character, Bill, who some people are screeching about autistically, which is fine. But our Patreon manager, Whip, I'm going to put you on blast specifically, thinks that I think most of his problem with Bill is what he thinks Moffat thinks, not what Bill actually does. And it could totally happen, but he thinks that Bill is a SJW embodied sort of thing. I don't know. I didn't come across like that at all to
I
me.
didn't get that at all.
I think he's just a paranoid old man screaming at the kids on his lawn.
Real quick, you can continue to talk. I'm gonna try and fix my camera real quick because it's really low streaming. I just realized my VPN is still on, which is throttling my internet. So I'm gonna try and fix it. But keep talking.
I like to be throttled. Anyways, so Bill comes on, and the first thing they establish about her character is not that she likes Muff. She is a lesbian, but that's not like the big thing. The first thing, they bookend her character with two things. And it's how much she wants to learn and how open she is to newness. It doesn't like scare her like most people, which is usually like Clara had this. She was just like a go-getter, and she would just go out there and experience experiences, which is important for the Doctor because most people are small-minded and not open to learning, and not open to learning that they're wrong. And I don't know. I think Bill kind of established that she was going to do that. Like she's a non-student student. She works at the college that he's at, which is a callback to the first Doctor who worked at a college or posed to be.
No, his daughter went
college,
to
right?
No, that was Coal Hill. He went.
Was it a high school?
Susan went to Coal Hill, which is where Clara worked, and he hid the TARDIS nearby at Foreman Scrapyard.
Yeah, didn't he say that he was like, didn't he pose as a professor or something? Didn't he get when he got stranded? Maybe that was after the first Doctor.
What are you talking? Tennant was
no, not Tennant. Like Doctor number, was it Baker? One of them got stranded and he had the car. Which one was that? Was it?
Oh, third Doctor. He worked for UNIT. He didn't work at a college. He was the science. Kate Stewart's job now. Basically, he was the science head at UNIT.
Kate Stewart. Wait, what? I thought she got.
Is she dead now? No, she got saved by robot Cyberman.
That's right. You're right.
Her dad.
There's so much canon to get through.
If you guys can't tell, I know more about Classic Who than Jake does.
Classic Who is just, it's very classic. It's hard to get through for me. But I do like it. So he's been there for what, 23 years or something like that? He's been there for a long time.
He's been there for like 60 years.
60? Oh, shit. Oh, no. I'm thinking of the how long he was with River Song. Which was like 24 years or 23 years. Yeah. So he's been spending a lot of time like post Clara, right? And so he's not as grumpy as he was. I think that's kind of a neat way to do it because he can jump around at whatever time he wants, and he can just pick right up, and that's fine. But that means that the Doctor was at that college while he was out doing other shit, right?
What do you mean? Like I think the point is he kept coming back to the college, but he still goes on adventures, if that makes sense.
So was he with Clara and at that college?
No, I don't think so. I think that happened after Clara. I think after the Christmas special, he probably went back in time to they said 60 years, so it'd be like, the 50s, started working at that college. By the way, under the college, this is going to be, I'm sure, the series long arc. There's something under the college that he's keeping there, locked behind a door. So that's why I assume he's sort of turned the college into a base, and he kind of goes back and forth. He still does adventures, but he clearly spends a lot of time there. I would compare it to kind of when he was with UNIT, because at a certain point they did fix his TARDIS, and it
had a really old Doctor Who feel to it, and maybe that's why, because it definitely had the first Doctor. Well, he also has the pictures of all his, not all of them, but a lot of different companions, including his granddaughter, on the desk there, and so I don't know. It just has like a. Like the roots are actually pretty deep for a Doctor, which it doesn't usually happen.
Yeah, I did like that. It actually reminded me a lot of the Doctor's old lab from Classic Who, because the TARDIS was still there. It was in the corner. It just didn't work. It was now they have an out of order sign on it, which is funny. But it was literally out of order at the time. The Time Lords took the knowledge of how to fly it from the Doctor. I guess it wasn't broken. I think they just made it so he couldn't remember how to fly it or something. But
is that why he was bad later on at it? Is that kind of or is that just like, haha, comedy?
Yeah, certain Doctors are better than others. Like Capaldi, for some reason, is excellent at flying the TARDIS, despite.
Can you imagine him not being good at it though? Like his Doctor.
That's why I think it is that way, because Matt Smith is goofy, so it makes sense for him to be flailing.
Although Matt Smith was never really bad at it, he just wasn't efficient at it. Like,
I
he was just, like,
guess.
all over the place and bouncing around, and that kind of fit him, and all the levers were nonsensical, and
Sure.
it made sense.
But anyway, I did like a lot of the stuff in the background of his office. All the sonic screwdrivers are there. You might have mentioned that. I don't remember. The Beethoven bust, actually, from the last season that he used in that whatever metaphor he was trying to explain the bootstrap paradox, that was in the office. I don't know if you noticed that. The guitar, there's a bunch of shit. So that's kind of nice nod to his background and stuff. I do like that. Nerdle is back. Nardle.
Well, it's spelled Nardle, but he kind of says Nerdle. But I think that's the accent, so it doesn't really matter what you call him.
Everyone gets mad when we pronounce anything in Doctor Who.
Well, I don't have a fucking where's Capaldi even from? I don't have his accent. So
he's from Scotland.
Scotland. I'm not Scottish. Get over yourself. Fuck you.
But it's
Fuck
all
you and your weird tribalistic language differences on your tiny fishing island.
Nardal. Okay. But we also say like Gallifrey wrong. Now I say it, I think, correctly, but I used to say Gallifrey and people didn't like that. Regional dialects, people. Anyway. Nardal. When he comes in, they establish pretty quickly. I don't think they mentioned this in the Christmas special he was in, the second Christmas special he was in, I guess. Mm-hmm. He's a robot, or at least part robot. Obviously, in that Christmas special with River Song.
Did they mention that he was a robot? Because in the Doctor Who wiki, I think he's filed under human companion.
He's half robot, half person, I would guess. Because remember, his head got cut off and put in that robot. And then apparently at some point, the doctor removed him from the robot and gave him a normal body. But remember, at the beginning of this episode, like the first shot is just the office. Nerdle comes in, and as he's walking, it makes like a robot-y noise when he walks. And then he drops like a nut, like metal robot parts, and he kind of laughs. You know what I mean? Like, I think Moffat was just trying to throw in a thing there, like, hey, this is how the Doctor, he's part robot now. That's the gist of it. But
of course, Moffat would worry about that.
It's weird
because of people like us, though. That's the problem.
I guess we're the problem.
Moffat, and he ruined himself before that. I don't know. I did like, I don't know, just Bill sitting in that office. That was a cool series of shots. That was a good first scene. I just enjoyed it. It felt Doctor Who-y, even though he's never in an office. It didn't at all feel strange to be there. Which I like actually pretty neat.
I like that it's just he found, like you were talking about before, she's just a curious person. He likes that, so he enrolled her in the college, presumably by going back in time and enrolling her earlier or something. Again, I like that kind of thing. What else happens? She's, like we said, she's a lesbian. She's interested in this woman who has a birth defect where she has like a star pattern in one of her eyes.
Yeah.
Which the original title for this episode was like a star in her eye or something. I don't know. It's not that relevant, but
and basically the pilot thing didn't even matter. It was
Oh, you know what else I didn't get? Wait, did this? I'm trying.
Are you there? Did Hugo leave? I think Hugo left. Is it me? No, it's definitely not me. Yeah. Hugo died. Hugo's dead now. Michigan got nuked. Anyways, I'll just keep talking about that because apparently he's having problems. Bill meets the girl at some bar or something, and they have like a conversation or something. They don't imply any sort of romantic escalation, if you will. And honestly, they only mention Bill being a lesbian like the one time at the bar, and then another time she kind of mentions it to a roommate, like she doesn't like men or something, which is fine. But like, it's not at all Jenny and Foster like, which is good, where they just constantly make like, there was a Jenny Foster like, why do I stay with you? And then she like snaps someone with her super long tongue, and it's a fucking cunnilingus joke. There's none of those. But she meets the girl at the bar or whatever, but it kind of actually is cut like a Russell T Davies-esque Doctor Who episode, because it like cuts back and forth between like on the timeline of Bill, and it's like really quick late 90s early 2000s-esque cinematography shots, but it actually worked pretty well. and you basically just get exposition about Bill's life and what she does. And she talks about how she. There's a funny joke about how she works at like the cafeteria and she gives extra chips, which are French fries for the uninformed, to some girl she had a crush on, and then she accidentally made that girl fat. That's kind of a funny joke. And she's, I don't know, she kind of laments about it for a second. And they do this all through the frame of her telling the doctor about herself, trying to answer a question about why she sits in on his classes, but never actually answers the questions, which is a very Moffat-y Doctor Who thing, but it didn't feel as Moffat-y as usual. It actually almost felt Gaddis-y. I mean, I don't know if he had a writing credit on this or not, but it was kind of, I don't know, they do a lot of bait and switch sort of with wordplay. Maybe even almost Sorkin without the interruptions. Are you back? Yeah.
I am. I've been here the whole time. I only left for like a second when I froze.
You were frozen for much longer than a second. It was disturbing. You all stared at your weird face because you were like this.
Nice. Anyway, what I was talking about, you covered her and stuff, but what I was going to say I liked about this episode, as I was saying, was, when did I cut out, by the way? I don't know when I cut out.
Don't know. Don't remember.
Okay. Well, like I said, the enemy is a puddle, basically. A spaceship landed. Not an evil alien or anything, just someone's spaceship landed. It dripped oil or something like your car might. But it turns out this fluid is shape-changing fluid, which is, I guess, supposed to be used for, fixing stuff or whatever in the ship. But it turns out it's sentient and wants to get home or go explore or something, which I think is a fun idea. I like when Doctor Who, basically anything where it takes something mundane and turns it into a big deal for humans because we're so not advanced compared to the aliens, if that makes sense.
Right. It actually reminded me of The Silence the first time.
Yeah.
When like you see something and you forget about it immediately, and that's why you're scared of the dark, sort of thing. That's interesting to me. The concept of our stuff that is normal to us, but then there's like this Doctor Who explanation for it. That's cool. And I actually called the mini twist about what the puddle was showing in the reflection. I called that immediately. Yeah. So
yeah,
but I didn't actually. I didn't say it because of her eye, which was, if you don't know, the reflection, it isn't reflecting. It was showing the image back, so it wouldn't be like right to right. It'd be your right eye would be over there because it's showing you what it's seeing backwards, like a screen. Does that make sense? Yeah, it would flip the mirror image basically, so it would look normal.
Have you seen like a security camera, but it's weird because like it's not reflecting it, it's the opposite. So you ever stand in front of like a security camera and move this arm, but like the opposite arm moves because it's
So the girl with the weird eye notices it right away, and she's like, "This is just the weirdest fucking puddle." So she comes and stares at it sometimes because she's a fucking weirdo, I guess. Her character was kind of off. I don't know if they were like playing at that, like the puddle over time does that, or is she just a weirdo in general? And she also mentions that she doesn't want to stay there. So the puddle recognized that as someone who wants to travel, so they use her as a host and they steal her basically. And it looked like kind of the Waters of Mars monster for a minute.
A little bit. Definitely has that wet look. Not they couldn't do this again because it would be too much. I loved that in the Waters of Mars, though. How when like they open their mouths, water would come out. So gross. Love it. But yeah, very similar look. In fairness, the show's been around for a long time, though. You're going to repeat some monster designs.
Yeah, I actually didn't hate that, and I didn't know if maybe that was like if you could trace it back, and that was kind of one of the causes of that, or so I don't know.
What? Okay, hold on. Whiplash said a thing that I gotta. The puddle is really a ham-fisted writing metaphor for being gay? What are you talking about? I think you're projecting a lot of shit onto this character that is just not there.
Absolutely agree with you. He's
what?
Ham-fisted metaphor of being gay. It's a mirror, but when it comes back, your reflection's not right. Nope. That's not gay things. That's maybe trans. Issue is trans? Maybe? Are you confusing homosexuality with transsexuality?
I don't know. I think he's projecting just so much onto this that's not there.
Ridiculous.
I think you're so worried about Moffat taking this in a direction you don't like that you are seeing things that are not there at all.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
agree.
I think I like her more than I liked Clara near the end. Maybe just because
Clara was trash at the end. Honestly, if Clara would have died, and I mentioned this on Twitter, if Clara would have died in that Christmas special when she got to grow old with Danny in that dream, that's the perfect ending for Clara. That's exactly how it should have ended. Instead, I don't know if Moffat had a moment of clarity in what he had done with that character or something, but she basically stayed too long and died because of it, and that's what he did. That makes sense. Like, he stayed way too long with it, and people were like, "No, you got to kill her now. It's all fuck that."
But then he still couldn't, and decided to give her a diner TARDIS.
Yeah, well,
because there is no hope, only Moffat. Anyway.
Bill, she is dead, though.
Yeah, we saw her die.
Just eternally dead.
It's just that she spent a lot of time in space and time doing shit with.
Do you think her and Maisie are going to get after it? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they were flirting.
Maybe their life is a puddle as well.
So later, Bill follows the Doctor and Nerdle, sees that they have an underground thing. This is where I like the Nardole character the most, because the way he interacts with the Doctor, you can tell Nardole, well, he is, I think, human. He's supposed to be. He's from the future, so he's aware of aliens and like advanced technology that most companions aren't. So, well, he's certainly not the equal of the Doctor. You can tell him and the Doctor have more in common than the Doctor does with like his typical teenaged female Londonite companions from the 21st century. Does that make sense though? Like, they talk and they're doing like technical things together.
Here comes the comments about Amy not being a Londonite, by the way.
Oh, fuck it. You know what I mean. She's still got that personality of all those type of characters. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Fuck. I forgot because of the Londonite thing, and waiting for your shit. I don't know. I didn't think it was. They had some cool scenes where like that thing was chasing Bill, and it was almost a horror vibe, and that was actually kind of neat. But her reaction to that situation was barely scared, and that's kind of, I think, that's new. It wasn't. Like, it wasn't Martha where she's just screeching in a corner. It wasn't Clara where she's obviously always worried. It wasn't even Amy where she was like, I'm an independent woman. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like curiosity, and that was kind of interesting. It was a nice way to, I don't know. She's not a Doctor Who trope right now, and that's.
I don't know why. I actually like her so far. I think so far it's fine. I see the concerns people have as far as she could become a really annoying character that's just constantly asking, not just because she asked some questions in this episode which aren't bad, but I could see how constant quirky type questions, like almost fourth wall breaking or admitting that Doctor Who doesn't make sense type questions, that's funny every once in a while. But if that's like her main quirk is, I'm going to poke holes in Doctor Who because it's silly, we know it's silly.
Did she do that? I'm trying to remember. The only thing that
times I know, God, what was it in the episode? I know when they went to Australia briefly, which I liked that segment too, where she's like, "It's day. Did we travel in time?" And he's like, "No, we're in Australia." And they reveal the Opera House. I thought that was fun. But I forget what she says. She says something to the Doctor when she's in the bathroom. And she asks him a question or something, and he goes like, no one's ever thought to ask that. And that happens a couple times in the episode. So I'm thinking that's going to be her thing that Moffat wants her character trait to be, is she asks questions companions don't typically ask, but maybe the audience has asked.
He's got to not, and he will a few times for sure. There's going to be a plant takeover of London episode, and she will fuck up in some way, and that whole episode will just be trash.
The person who
children's author,
right? The person who wrote that episode, the weird Bush one, they're writing an episode this season.
I know. That's the one I'm counting on to be shit. I did like the bit they did with the real slow burn of the TARDIS bigger on the inside payoff. I thought that was actually really good, because usually the joke is he's disappointed that no one did it, or he's, of course they did it. And he gets off on the fact that people are impressed by the TARDIS. That's kind of one of the major things that carries over regardless of his personality. He just loves that moment. And the kitchen thing, like, who would say that?
Yeah.
It was stainless steel and she works in a kitchen, okay. But it was almost like he got, like, she shut him down inadvertently, and then later on it came back, it's bigger on the inside, and then Nerdle goes, we got there. That was just a really good payoff. I actually really enjoyed that.
That's, again, I think this episode maybe, not that I dislike Bill so far, but I think I like Nerdle more still, because like stuff like that where like him and the Doctor can have little moments. I like that. It's different. That's why I like it. It's because it's different, and we've had so much of the same over the past couple seasons. I'm glad we have some different kinds of interactions with the Doctor. I mean, It kind of reminds me, you remember Mummy on the Orient Express? At the end, he asked that conductor to come be a companion, but the guy said no, because that guy's a comedian and he has other things to do, I guess. Well, but it reminds me of that, where it's someone with a very different relationship with the Doctor, who's not... The Doctor doesn't loom quite as large from their perspective, if that makes sense. They kind of see through the Doctor's, I'm the Doctor, and sure, he is the Doctor, but, you know, they can see through the bravado a little bit and say, like, yeah, you still screw up sometimes, you're just, let's do the thing we're doing. I'm not that impressed by you.
I think actually that facet of the companions is why Clara ran too long, because she was her once Danny died, like, there's nothing else that's going to match that. So after that point, there was nothing for her to do as a character. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, what possibly could phase her after that? Like, nothing. And nothing did, really. She even died, and she was just like, yeah, I made peace with this. It's fine, whatever. And then the Doctor couldn't, and whatever. And that was more interesting about the Doctor than Clara, but it could have been anyone. It didn't have to be Clara in those scenes.
Sure.
It could have been the Master, for fuck's sakes, and he would have done probably one of the same things. Like, I can see him doing that for, like, one of his only frenemies. But anyways, Whip keeps mentioning that she keeps touching the killer monster. I can't name a companion that hasn't done that. Like the putting themselves in danger. They're always Lois Laning to his Superman. Like, that's, you
kind of have to.
That's the point.
Oh God, this is why. Well, I am glad Moffat's doing changes. I'm also glad he's leaving after this season, because there's only so many ways a person can write things differently.
Sure.
And I get
why. Like, Amy did that with the Weeping Angels.
In fairness, at that point, she didn't really know about them.
Neither did Bill. What would Bill know? Exactly. That's the same thing.
At the end, the thing I'll say, at the end, after they've been running from the monster, after they did a clever thing, I actually like this, especially because this is sort of a jump-on point for people who haven't watched Doctor Who before. If you've never seen Doctor Who, you can start here if you want. I'd probably start with Series 5, but that's just me. I liked that on their running away from the monster, he uses the TARDIS to take them to Australia to see how long it takes for the monster to catch up with them. Then he takes them to a different planet. You know what? It's just interesting uses of the TARDIS. You don't see him use the TARDIS. I shouldn't say you don't see him use the TARDIS a lot. He uses it to get to the destination in the episode, but typically once you're in the location, you're in the location. I like when he uses it strategically to try and fight a monster, and I love that in this episode he goes to, I guessed it was the middle of maybe the Time War, but I could be wrong. I don't know. It's definitely a Dalek instance, though. Brought the new monster to where the Daleks are so he could have the Daleks fight it to see what happens. I think that's interesting, and that's a great jump on point thing where people go, oh, what are these things? If you don't know what Doctor Who is, maybe you kind of know Daleks are a thing, but you don't know about them.
Right, but I liked how they answer that, because she asked, what are those things? He goes, they're Daleks.
It's a peek behind the curtain. If you're not familiar with the show, it's, hey, look at all this interesting stuff we can do, you know. But it's not, it didn't feel shoehorned in. I didn't feel like, oh, they're throwing Daleks in here just because Daleks. I felt like, okay, sure. It worked within the confines of the story. But yeah, she does end up touching the monster, like, after they know what it is, and it almost captures her. So that was kind of weird. I don't know. I think the implication is that she almost wants to go with her with the puddle thing.
Well, I think so too, because then she goes
Yeah,
with the doctor. I don't know. It made sense for the character. It didn't I don't know. It didn't feel any less or more dumb than, and I say dumb, I mean unwise, than any other uninformed companions, especially near the beginning. Like Rose talks to a walking mannequin in her very first episode. I can't name a companion that's blank slate, uninformed in space and aliens that doesn't do what Bill did. And also,
at least
Bill is established as unafraid of the unknown and interested and curious. Like if you're just that, I don't know. It just made sense for the character. Why would she? Why would she now be scared if she just never was otherwise? She was.
that's fair. Fair point.
You know what I'm saying? It's like she wasn't even ever that scared anyway. She kind of ran to the doctor, like in almost a holy shit, this is crazy. I'm pretty sure you can help me out. But it was never like and Martha's always my go-to because she was always fucking just tilted off the face of the earth. It wasn't Martha-esque in that deep worry where she goes home and just fucking pops antidepressants to cope. It was,
By the way, so someone just pointed out Rose touches the Dalek in the episode Dalek, and that's what regenerates it. And that thing's chained up, and they tell her it's dangerous. Don't touch it.
So, yeah, this isn't new at all. You're just an old fucking man.
So the doctor says he's not going to take her with him. Actually says he's going to erase her memory like he did with Donna, with Clara. Or no, he didn't erase Clara. He erased his own memory. My bad. And an actual nod to Clara I thought was nice without being overly done, which Moffat tends to do. When she says to him, like, how would you feel if someone erased your memory? You know, and then it plays Clara's theme song just a little bit.
It did. That was really nice.
Not that it wasn't overindulgent, and I was so proud of Moffat for a second. It's like, oh, Moffat, this is, if you want to be sentimental about your characters, that's how you do it. Not diner TARDIS. God damn it.
Right, and also it didn't. It was only for people who had seen the other seasons. New people wouldn't even notice that. It's no exposition. No one knows his memory was wiped. Like, we're good to go. You know what I mean? Like, that was just for us.
But what I like about that scene too is if you did jump on at this point, the fact that he kind of hesitates for a second after she says that adds a mystery. Think about that. If this is the first episode of Doctor Who you've ever seen, you go, oh, something happened. He had, like, even if you don't know, you can imply his memory something had been taken from him at some point. You don't know when, you don't know if it's been addressed before, but it adds sort of a mystery to the character if you don't know the Doctor at this point.
Right, and I think that's, like, for people that just jumped on, if they go back and watch the seasons, and then they jump to this episode and start rewatching, they're going to be like, oh, the first time I saw that, I didn't even notice. Of course you didn't, but, like, I think that's nice, actually, and usually Moffat is not good at that. Usually it's like a bazooka to the face as far as subtlety is concerned.
Yeah, so good for him on that front. So I think that's about it. He comes back. A great hero shot in this episode, by the way. I love this. I almost want it as a desktop background. When he shows up and he's just kind of leaning on the TARDIS, and it's a real nice shot. It's kind of night, but it's lit well, where it still looks like natural nighttime, but it's bright enough where you can see stuff, and he's just kind of leaning on the TARDIS. I love that shot. I don't know who directed this episode. Good for them, though. And he's like, what the hell? Let's go do adventures and stuff. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. What happens at the very end? They just kind of go off. It's been a week since I watched this.
Yeah, I don't know. They kind of just they're going to go on adventures. So that's really the end of the episode. What are the theories that? And I think this is going to be a season arc. Is what's under the college and that big door area. What are the theories going?
I've heard
that are
several
for that.
There's going to be, by the way, if there are 2 trailers after the episode, the next time, which is for the episode premiering tonight, which we're going to talk about, but there's also a coming soon on Doctor Who, which kind of gives an overview of the season, and it gives a spoiler away at the end, and we're going to talk about it right now in the theories section. So if you don't want that,
1 second, I do agree with you. Spoilers. I want to address one thing about the way the memory wipe scene was. Again, Whiplash being wrong. Memory wipe scene was leveraging sentiment onto a new character. No, it was all about the Doctor.
Yeah, that was totally. Again, what do you want them to not
understand.
address that he's had a history with this kind of thing? That's how you do character building, is addressing. Oh,
Yeah, you're so wrong about this. It's so weird.
I don't understand how you didn't like. I think you were so worried about this episode sucking. You convinced yourself it sucked to justify how worried. It
suck.
It didn't. It was a fun.
The last Christmas special was way worse than this.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I agree. And I don't even think that was really terrible. It's watchable, but I thought this was a good episode. Like generally in any season of Doctor Who where you have,
I think it was better than his first episode.
I think it was too. 10 to 13 episodes, you'll get generally one or two great episodes that are like this is some of the best Doctor Who ever. There's usually at least one of those per season, which I appreciate. There's going to be 2 to 3 that suck, and the rest are probably going to be okay. This one's definitely in the good section. I don't think it's like some of the best Doctor Who ever, but it's a good jump on point. It's a fun episode. I very much enjoyed it. I don't get all the hate you're having, but anyway, the theories as far as what's under the college. Firstly, the simple answer would be, since the end of Hellbent, which was the season finale last season, right. Gallifrey is now sequestered from the rest of time and space. It's not in another dimension, but they basically parked Gallifrey at the end of time and space. So they're apart from everyone else. Yeah. So one of the theories is that the Doctor is hiding the entrance to that basically behind the door somehow. So they're trapped there. What would be
the application for that?
I don't know.
Like just that he's the gatekeeper to Gallifrey.
He's waiting for them to get to the point where he can say, okay, you're not going to be a danger to the universe. You can come back. But they're not necessarily in another dimension. They're just...
That's interesting. It would make sense why the Master would be in the season then. And I think she's going to be, or I guess Missy, the Mistress, supposedly. Yeah, but although John Simm's coming back for a little bit. And I don't know what role he's going to play, but...
That's the second theory, actually, is that behind the door is John Simm's Master.
Why? Why would he have John Simm's Master? Because they already explained what happened to John Sim.
No, they didn't.
Well, I mean, they inferred it because there was the pyre or whatever. And
that happened. You always forget he came back after that pyre thing. You always forget.
Wait. What was the last time we saw him? Was it the Tenet episode?
The End of Time, the last Tenet episode. It was a special. It wasn't on Netflix, so I don't even know if you remember watching it. Remember, it's really dumb at parts. The Master gets like lightning powers and can like shoot people with lightning out of his fists.
Yeah, I remember that. Because didn't he steal like Doctor Power or something, or was there something else going on? I don't remember. But that was when Donna's grandpa fucked the Doctor.
Yeah. And what happened at the end of that to the Master was the Time Lords grabbed him and pulled him back into Gallifrey.
Shit, yeah.
So
I mean, that was like 6 years ago, right? So
yeah. At some point between that and now, he turned into Missy, but we don't know what happened in between. And now that the Doctor has access to Gallifrey, it's possible that they said to him, "Listen, we still have John Simm's Master," and maybe the Doctor will be like, "What? I'm facing the Master," and they must be like, "Well, not the one we have. So, will you please like keep him locked up because you're better?" This would be
an amazing time to have Tennant come back, or Smith, because he hasn't been back since.
Smith has not ever met the Master either.
Right. That would be really interesting. I don't know. I think they should, if you're going to do a double Master, do a double Doctor, but they've kept it under wraps if that happens, which is not usually the case with a Doctor. So
if Sim is behind it, the fun story idea I've heard is Missy comes, breaks out her past self, they go on some sort of team up, let's fuck with the Doctor adventure, and then at the end she shoots John Sim or something, making him regenerate into her. And the reason she turns into Missy is because she shot herself. Well, which is a bootstrap, very Doctor Who thing that I can see Moffat doing.
It is.
In fact, if they do if they do a double Master story like that, I almost 100% think that's what's going to happen if Moffat writes it. Because I don't think he can resist.
Missy will kill himself.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I actually think that's clever, but it's so Moffat, it turns back around, and I almost hate it because it's so him. Oh God! But anyway,
wouldn't it be actually interesting if it's the Doctor killed him, and it was like because the Doctor wouldn't kill the Master, but what if he did?
Or it'd be funny if John Sims' master wasn't as how do I put this?
Stable?
David Tennant and John Sims' relationship was more. It didn't imply the friendship as much. It was more, listen, we're the last of our species, so we need to get along.
Sure.
And I'd like to get along, but still, obviously, we have issues. However, Missy, you feel more of a relationship there, like beyond the antagonism. There's genuine something there. So it'd be interesting if even Missy at some point is like, whoa, you need to calm down. And John Sim is just so fucking crazy. He's like, no. So the doctor has to force him to regenerate to turn into Missy, so he's less. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get you. Well, John Sims' master is fucking off the edge, man. He's crazy as fuck. So that's kind of good. Although I did get the former friendship from Tennant.
I guess, but Sim didn't reciprocate. Missy does a lot. Missy, if anything, likes to fuck with the doctor like as a friendly, fun. I've heard. You know what I love? It's the master and the doctor's relationship. The best I've ever heard it described is, okay, so the doctor and the master, they've been friends since literally they were children.
Right.
I think you see that in some David Tennant thing.
Well, there's a flashback when they talk about the well that they peer into.
Oh,
to decide
the time schism or whatever it's called.
Sure.
And then the doctor went away. He ran away, and I don't think he met the master again until he was the third doctor. That was the first appearance of the master. So, what I've heard it described as, imagine you have a friend that you're like best friends with, and they're a pretty normal person, they're a pretty smart person. They go away on a road trip or something, and then you see them again in like 10 years, and when you meet them, all of a sudden, they've decided to live like on a guinea pig farm. And not only that, they make friends with all the guinea pigs, and he takes them everywhere. And anytime anyone wants to come near the guinea pigs, he freaks out and attacks the people. And that's what the master sees the doctor doing, because humans are so below Time Lords. Considers what the doctor is doing to be insane. And I think that's a funny way to look at it is, why do you spend all your time with these people? And she's trying to shock him into, I mean, don't get me wrong, the master likes power and does want to, I think the better metaphor would be the master wants to come in and kill all the guinea pigs to make him stop, doing that. So we'll spend time with her, but whatever.
Antisocial path. Inside the locked the door, it's Eccleston's career post Who that's buried there.
That's funny.
That's funny. I'm trying to look. Jack Harkness is more sexy than all doctors. I wouldn't mind if Jack came back.
I'd love for him to come back. I really wish he would, at least for a cameo or something. I think he's a fun. I think it'd be fun if they but he could. I'm sure he likes Doctor Who. I think if he does Torchwood audios now, I think, or he's scheduled to. But that you can do that just like at a remote studio somewhere else. So I don't know. What was I going to say? Oh, next time trailer for the episode that's coming out in roughly 2 hours, 10 minutes Eastern Time, United States. It's already aired in the UK. It's called Smile, the next time trailer. Basically, the Doctor and Bill go on their first actual adventure. I don't see Nardole, so I don't know if he's not going to be around every time or if he maybe chills on the TARDIS a lot of the time and, does maintenance stuff. And that'd be kind of an interesting dynamic if Nardole stayed on the ship and, like, helped them out.
He's almost like an Alpha 5.
A little. Oh, he's a secondary companion. He's not a full companion, I don't think, as much as she is, but he's definitely there. I don't know.
He might also, like, they might write him out of episodes and say, like, oh, he substitute teaches when I'm gone, or,
sure. That's fine. And Matt Lucas probably has other projects he's working on, too. He's a pretty busy guy, so that wouldn't shock me. But
right, yeah. So the next one is Smile, which will be coming out later tonight, by the way. We are doing another review, most likely tonight. And it's about emoji robots.
Yeah, the premise is the Doctor and Bill land in the future. It's like one of the first human colonies on another planet, and he wants to show it to her. They show up. The settlers, are missing, and all that's left are these robots. And they're emoji robots, and their faces change. And Bill's like, it speaks emoji. And everyone collectively hand slaps their face. And
what I think this is actually going to be is anti-emoji culture, though. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be like you are all robot emoji or emoji robots to me, to the other generation. Like, I don't know. I have faith that this isn't just going to be a gimmick. It totally could be, and it could be a terrible episode, or it could be a gimmick and still be good. I don't know. I'm not really going to go in with preconceptions.
You know what I'm going to guess?
So different.
I'm going to guess this is going to be close to a like Robot of Sherwood episode where it's really dumb and there are things I'm going to hate in it, like the arrow thing and that didn't make sense.
The arrow,
but
I think it'll stupid. That ruined the whole episode.
I know. I think it'll be enough though that I'll be like. I think there'll be enough funny stuff that'll be like, all right, fine.
So it's really a comedy episode. So I wouldn't hate if they had a cool side character. I think one of the robots is probably going to be that if it's anything like an R2-D2 BB-8 situation. Although they might be the enemies because they had those angry eyes at one point. So.
And then after that, we got the this season on Doctor Who trailer. God, I barely remember what happened in it. I'm not even kidding.
I just know that Missy popped up a couple times.
Missy popped up in a new outfit, which I kind of like. I like when the Doctor and Time Lords wear quirky, stupid outfits. I think it's funny. You saw the 1960s Cybermen once again, which I'm very excited to see come back.
We're going to have 3 Cybermen in that episode, right? 3 types?
There's the newest version of the Cybermen, which are very clearly Iron Man ripoffs with the light in the chest. The Mondasian Cybermen. And the Cybermen. So you have the new ones, the Tenet ones, and the 60s ones, if that makes sense. Which I've also heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true. I've heard a rumor that because you have Missy with the new Cybermen, you'd have John Sim in command of the Cybermen. I think that's what they are. And then you would have Roger Delgado's been dead for a long time, but supposedly there might be a third master come in and be playing essentially the first master, but
no, it has to be Movie Master.
From the fucking god.
Yeah.
Who plays him? I forget his name, but he was in the 8th Doctor movie that wasn't very good, but that's not Paul McGann's fault. I thought he did a fine job.
Paul McGann was a good Doctor.
He was. It's really too bad. I've really been wanting to get into listening to the audios because I think he does a good job. I've listened to snippets and he plays a really good Doctor. I really do think he does, and I feel bad that he never got the chance to do it because I think he loves it. He wouldn't continue to do it all these years if he didn't.
It's not a comedy episode at all. See, we have some English folks here that have already seen it. It's definitely its own thing. I'm interested in it. If it's not a comedy episode, I'm interested. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Very cool.
And other rumors. There's some rumor going around. I think it's totally baseless, but I do want to see this at some point, so I think it'd be fun that the first Doctor's going to show up at some point, either this season or during the Christmas special.
Played the first Doctor in Space and Time.
Yeah, I forget his name. He was in Harry Potter as the groundskeeper.
He's been in a ton of shit. He was the guy that conducted the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. He was also in that he was the former child molester, air quotes, in that other Tenant thing on Broadchurch. He's actually all over, which is surprising because I didn't notice him before A Tale of Space and Time, but. Now he's just all the places.
David Bradley is his name. He's been in a lot of stuff. I think he's a BBC mainstay. I think he's been all over. Anyway, anything else? I'm excited for tonight's episode. If you already saw it, good for you. We'll be back to review that, I guess, and see if it's any good. And then we'll do the next time trailer for that. And then we should be on schedule for the rest of the season. We shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, we changed plans, so.
Yeah. So, I guess since this is a live thing, does anyone have any questions about what we think of certain things? We'll do a final, if you have any questions for us about this or speculation about the future for Doctor Who, and then we'll close out and you guys can do whatever you do. I don't care. Wait, let me actually show you guys something. I'm going to show them that thing I got sent today. It's neat.
Oh, do it. Would Jake touch a poo? I mean, accidentally, if the toilet paper broke.
I've had that happen before.
Everyone's had it happen. Why does Jake suck at League? I'm just a bonobo.
Anyway, here's what I got sent today, and it's awesome. This is from Ryby. She has her own channel. If I don't know, does anyone have a link to it?
Ryby Jenkins. Just need to find it.
Ryby Jenkins. She made this. This is great. If you haven't noticed, I assume what you all have. I'm missing this tooth because of a birth mutation thing. I never had it. and she made this, and it's Hugo's teeth, and it's all kinds of different
The
teeth
Magnum is my favorite.
It's so clever. I love this. I honestly,
Yeah,
I don't think she's here right now, but I'm going to show this elsewhere as well. But I really, really like this. This is a very thoughtful, like, creative thing. It sounds weird, but that actually means a lot to me that someone spent the time.
Right. She asked, so she made, well, it's the dog posters in front of it now, but she made that Me Gusta meme thing that I did a couple times. And she was talking to me and she's like, I should make something for Hugo. And she asked what she should do. And I was like, I don't know, just something, I don't know, make it up. He'll like whatever you send him. And then she sent me update pictures for like 3 weeks. And yeah, that's cool as shit.
I do love that. And that's going to be a permanent part of my background now, by the way. So,
yeah.
That's cool. Anyway, let's see what other questions we got.
They're asking me if I've ever stuck a finger up my butt on accident while wiping. Not all the way up. Just kind of like a rim brush. You all have too.
Let's see. Who's your least favorite
companion? From a girl, it's sweet. From a man to a girl, it would be creepy. No, it wouldn't. What? It depends on the person. I could send that to Ryby. You know what I mean? Something weird like that, and she'd appreciate it. Like, it just depends on the person. You can't just randomly send someone something that you have no rapport with.
Sure. Who's your least favorite companion and why?
Rose. And Martha's my second least favorite. Man, I don't know. Maybe it's Rose kind of has a similar Clara thing where they kept her a little bit too long. And also like the crush on Tenet was kind of, I don't know. I did like that last scene though, despite all that, because Tenet and Billy Piper, they acted that really, really well on the beach there when he basically tells her, I love you, but they don't actually say it. It was actually really, really good. But just on the whole, I feel like she didn't really offer much. And the Bad Wolf stuff didn't really... It wasn't as interesting to me as the Amy Ganger twist or the Clara Impossible Girl thing, or even the Donna mind wipe. Martha's the only one that didn't. Martha just like quit, right?
Yeah, she just because she was interested in the doctor, but he was never reciprocated. So she finally just decided, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, and that's why she's also annoying, because she's basically Black Rose, and it, like, I don't know. I mean,
and then she wound up.
She is better looking than Rose, though, by a lot.
Wound up with Mickey at the end because I'm guessing the thought process they had was they were both kind of secondary characters, and they're both black.
Well, I don't know if it was because they were both black, but I think that was a happenstance thing. I don't think when they got Martha, they're like, "Oh, she should end up with Mickey."
I'm just saying, it's kind of an unfortunate.
Well, they were both. Well, Rose did it to Mickey, and the doctor did it to Martha.
I guess.
So I mean, they both kind of just have common ground there, and then they like fight aliens. Anyways, Rose is my least favorite, by a long shot, and then Martha's number 2, and then everyone else I kind of like. Clara just stayed too long, but like the actress, like she did fine. Like Jenna Coleman, I never thought she didn't give a good performance, but like Billy Piper felt lazy at times. You know what I mean?
Well, she wasn't an actress originally. She was like a pop star. She was like a Britney Spears type, and then
she also does theater.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. She's my least favorite. I don't have the same problems with Martha you have though. But
Martha's so whiny. She's always like, if you go back and watch it, just have a notepad and tick it every time she goes or something like that. It's so often. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But as far as my favorite doctor, it's always Tennant or Smith, but Capaldi is getting there. I got to see how it ends for him. Smith, I think, had the best arc, if that makes sense, because he started out like, if you don't know, with the regeneration of the Doctor, they're kind of running away or trying to cope with whatever had just happened. So Eccleston was the Time War. Tennant was still part of the Time War, but also the shit that happened with Eccleston with like nobody dying. And he's trying to be like more chipper, and probably in a response to Rose as well, honestly. And then Tennant just, he has a bad go. Like he doesn't want to go, sort of thing. That was a really sad ending and whatever. And then Matt Smith tries to kind of bury all of that and just play it off, but he has really serious moments. Then at the end, he's forced to stay in one place for, was it like 100 years or something?
Oh, and it was more than that.
He misses the shit out of Amy and hallucinates her in his last moments. That was really fucking. That was probably the most emotional I've gotten in a Doctor Who episode, which doesn't happen very often for me. And I don't. And then the diamond wall punching Capaldi was up there. So we'll see how Capaldi ends, but I'd say I think Tennant's my favorite in the middle of his run, Doctor, but Matt Smith is my favorite arc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I particularly like Capaldi, actually. I like the older, more curmudgeon-y, and I like the mix they have now. He has that, but he's open to being, let's have fun. Let me play a guitar. Let me, we'll go on adventures. I like that. I think it's a good mix. I like Matt Smith a lot. He's the one that was the first I actually watched Doctor Who, like, at length, week to week, was when he came on. Because I know I'd seen, like, commercials for it on BBC America, and I was like, what is this show? It looks so weird. Yeah. And I know I like time travel. I'm a huge fan of time travel stuff. So I was like, I better check this out at some point. So there's always going to be a part of me that really loves Matt Smith. But at times he could get a little too quirky, a little too Fedora, or not Fedora, whatever, the Fez, random.
He was definitely, I do like him. Memey, but I think Smith just, when it got serious, the tone shift was so dramatic that you knew it was like it was a serious shit was happening, and so I think that really helped. But Tennant was always kind of he was clearly holding punches or pulling punches at times, like even when he was smiling and being charming, you know what I mean? But it never felt like he couldn't get angry. When Matt Smith got angry, it's almost like have you ever had like a boss or a parent or a teacher or something that they were always cool, but when they got mad, you felt like you really disappointed them? It was like that with Smith. And I like Capaldi for a similar reason, because he is that older, he can be very serious, and you always think he's in control. He doesn't have that out of control Matt Smith stuff going on. So I mean, there's different aspects to all of them, but Capaldi is definitely in the running if he finishes strong, because he's going. This is the end of this is it. So yeah, I don't think he's making it. He's not making it to the Christmas special, is he?
The rumor is he is right now, but you never know.
But either way, no matter what, by Christmas he's done. Like, that's it. So
how long? I mean, this is 13-episode season. Hold on, let me actually look up real quick. I'm actually curious.
Probably 13 weeks, and then wait.
I assume so, but that's what I just want to see. I want to see when they air, basically, the pilot.
Which doctor would you fuck? Can I, Amy? What? She's not a doctor, but that's the one I pick anyway.
The last episode of this season is called The Doctor Falls, and it premieres July 1st. So we would have 6 months in between that and the Christmas special, roughly. Interesting. I think he'll be in the Christmas special, because I think they'll do that 6 months in between. They'll use to
cast and shit,
to cast and do sort of promotion for, hey, remember when Capaldi was cast? They had a little special on BBC where they announced it, and they had him come out, and they were like, the new Doctor is Peter Capaldi, and that happened. So
it's gonna be that one guy from Love Actually, right?
That's the rumor. He's, I think last time I checked, because they do betting markets, you can check betting markets, and they tend to be pretty accurate. They actually almost perfectly predicted Capaldi last time, so it could be him. It wouldn't shock me. I tend to go by the betting. I go by the betting markets because they tend to be pretty accurate, at least as far as trivial stuff like that.
Sure.
So I'm thinking that's right now. I don't think they've officially, but I'm guessing if he is the current front runner in the betting markets, I would say they're at least definitely looking at him. It's not, I don't think that rumor is coming from nowhere, if that makes sense. They're he at least did an audition or a read, or they called him or something. But
sure.
And someone says in the trailer they showed Peter regeneration. You are correct, but I think that's a fake out regeneration, similar to Tenet.
Yeah, same.
With the hand. I don't think that's the actual regeneration that's going to happen. Although I heard a funny theory, which would be fun, in which something happens, the Doctor does get killed, regenerates into whoever the next Doctor actually is, but then he undoes it somehow. He figures out a way to undo a regeneration and turns back into Capaldi until the Christmas special, and then he regenerates again back into the same next Doctor. Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
And and then you'd have that Doctor running around for maybe 10 minutes of the episode, and then he'd go away, and it would just be like a teaser for like, this is what that guy's gonna be, you know. But I don't really like that idea canon wise, because it implies that regenerations are like set, like, you know what I mean? It implies that when you regenerate next time, you're definitely going to be this guy. And that's not how I've ever seen regenerations talked about. Usually it seems like it's either random in the case of the Doctor, because he's bad at it, or Time Lords who are better at being Time Lords are able to control what they turn into.
That means that one Time Lord is like, I really want to be a black lady.
If they're not ready for it, like she got shot pretty unexpectedly. Right. If you're not ready for it, you can't. But like, for instance, remember even River's song when she regenerated from Mel, Amy's friend. She said, "Will you shut up? I'm concentrating on a dress size." So she was trying to picture what she wanted to look like.
Right.
Yeah,
do you think River comes back one more time before?
Oh God, I hope not.
Before Moffat gets out, I think she does, but I really hope she doesn't, because that last episode was so fucking good. With her,
that's the perfect ending for her. Don't bring her back, Moffat. Please give us this one thing.
They fucked up Clara. So,
yeah.
Anyways, that's it. So later today we'll have episode 2, Smile. It's coming out. It's coming out hot and fresh. That's it. That's the end. It's over.
I'm guessing it's gonna come out Sunday, because I have some other stuff I got to do today too before we record.
Well, yeah, but we're gonna review it later.
So. Oh, we're gonna review. The video might not be released until tomorrow.
But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks everyone. Enjoy Doctor Who. Excited for the new season. Woo!